Excuse me. All right. Food safety for the aquaponic farmer. Look at this picture here on top. Let me, first of all, let me switch to a laser pointer. Look at the system. The plant are growing in media. This half is in media. This half is foam with like deep water culture, and both of them on top of the fish tank. Very creative idea, but they understand the concept of I need a fish tank, I need pump, I need place for the plants to grow. And look at the quality of this bok choy. Very nice. They have enough fish to produce. I don't know from this filter where is your filtration, unless this media is the filtration, which it can be. So the water from the fish tank goes here first and then here second and then goes back. That is possible. Okay. But now the topic is about food safety. What I hope to want you to learn from this is what strategies you can develop to understand the possible contamination or reduce the risk of contamination, whether from the fish part or from the plant part. Some of this don't apply to you because you're not going to develop standard operating practices, because you're not going to be inspected and all this, but understand water quality and identify fish and human pathogens and how to prevent them. Okay? But in any type of food security, the age-old adage of an ounce of prevention is better than a ton of cure applies, and even here it applies very well. Prevent the introduction of the pathogen. That is number one. This is 90% of your success. If it enters, prevent the spread of the pathogen and initiate practices to reduce susceptibility. But prevent the introduction is 90% of your success. Okay? Now, if you're growing in the field, there are domestic, the potential contamination can come from animals, from domestic animal, from the animal manure that you're using, from the dirty water, from people. In a home aquaponic system, you don't have chicken that are swimming around with the fish or walking next, so, and rats, that may be not issue. Animal manure is not a problem. So really, people is 90% of the potential risk. You working with the garden, and then you come work with the aquaponic system. You are bringing potentially E. coli or other bacteria to the system, and make the fish sick or make the plant sick. Okay. I mentioned to you before, this is that is not going to bring bacteria, but that's going to be a potential problem for the plants. But these black pellets that looks like the size of a rice bead on my basil, these are rat feces. So there is a rat or a mouse that entered my greenhouse and is nibbling or feeding and decided to thank me by pooping on my leaves. I didn't see a lot of feeding damage. Looks like it doesn't like basil, but got upset and to spite me pooped on my leaves and left. Well, that whole plant is now infected and a potential of E. coli contamination. Okay. This is what happens with the millipedes when they ran out of algae to feed. They got into the hole, and look, they nibbled on the plant roots. Remember this grow grip? I talked about it, and here is how I'm using it in my aquaponic system. You see, I'm not using net cup, I'm not using media, I'm not using Rodan. That lettuce seedling, bare root seedling, I put it here, and that fits perfectly in that hole. Push it all the way down so that the bottom part touches the water, and your plants are growing. No cups, no media, no Grodan, no potting mix. just this. And these sometimes you can do multiple usage, multiple crops. Sometimes that lettuce grows so big that it deforms that foam, and then it's you throw that away. Look at my fingertips, they're dirty. I'm not proud of that. That is a source of contamination. I'm not sure if I was working in the garden I came here or my dirty fingertips is just from working from inside. But a source of contamination. Okay, this is a high tunnel open to the elements. So of course you see all kind of worms, worm feces, rat feces. Well, these are not rice size or elongated, so more than likely these are the worm feces. So exposed to the elements, we even saw chicken footprints on the foam board here. So a chicken jumped in, walked around, and then left. So all that is a contamination that's bringing E. coli potentially to the high tunnel. And here is worms and what do you call them? Moths. Okay, more moths, more worms here on the net cup filled with media. All types of wildlife. You're growing the ideal environment for the plants in terms of nutrition, and the ideal plant is also the ideal environment for all kind of bugs. This is an aquaponic operation I visited, open to the elements. That water is so dirty, overstocked with fish. If fish start dying and they infect each other, and the filtration. I mean, everything was dirty in this system. I'm surprised they were able to grow anything, but they really were not able to grow a lot of things because look, even here is dirty, tall weeds, which will invite the insects. Insect will invite snakes. Snakes will invite, I mean, rats, grass. I mean, it's all dirty. It's all dirty. Look at the bug. You see this plant here, how it's being fed alive by the worms because this whole operation is dirty. And what do you do if you have a greenhouse or you want a high tunnel or whatever, or you're going to build some kind of cage and put insect barrier, at least insect netting, so you stop the insects from coming. The insect also will act kind of like a shade cloth, and we have plenty of sun, so reducing the the sun intensity, the plants will will love you for it. So build some kind of structure and cover it with insect netting to stop all of those from coming, even if it's in your backyard and as a hobby. Look at the foam board, real dirty. God knows how often they wash them between cycles. Compared to a nice operation where everything is automated and connected to a automatic dosing system. So the pH is above 1.8. Then it drops an acid to fix the pH. Here's the pH, here's the EC. The pH goes up, automatically drops an acid to reduce it. And when it reaches the level, it stops adding more acid. So you can tell here is a quality operation where we had to wear shoe socks to enter, and on the outside it has insect netting. Nothing even though it was a high tunnel, but it had everything was sealed, insect netting on both ends, so nothing can go get inside. Look at this is a different operation where the fish were in a shipping container. So it was easy to control the temperature so that the fish are happy, and the pH and EC and the filtration is here. And look how clean that water going out to the fish tank. Rich in nutrient and very clean from any debris. Okay, and that fish that was in that shipping container coming to here. So here is a solid greenhouse end to end with foam boards, no alleyways, nothing. This is the loading end, and everything is pushed where you harvest on this end, and then you exit. You go to this end and you push everything forward, and you put the new plants here. 100% efficiency, very good. So even on a small scale, try to follow these ideas, and you see even the plant, the fish part is sealed because it's in that shipping container. No potential snakes, rats, whatever diseases coming, and the plant part is also sealed. And you're washing your hands, you're wearing clean clothes, there's nothing, but a little risk of E. coli or any pathogenic bacteria to make you sick. At the time, they were using media, so the only everything you see here is debris from the media. If they had switched to a grow tank cube that will fit here, that would have been 100%. I told them your operation is 95% on a scale of 0 to 100. Just switch to grow tank cube, and I'll give you 100%, and you will be the role model of everybody else. Okay. So back to the 99% of success by preventing the introduction. Well, these are ideas on how to prevent the introduction. If you have new fish stock, quarantine them first before you put them where you grow, just to see if for a week, are they gonna die? Are they came sick, or they're doing well? Then you can put them in your system. Okay, live feed. Where is your source? What are you feeding them? Are you feeding them pelleted material that is clean and sanitized, or are you feeding them your own recipe? Are you putting fencing? Like, look at this. There's no fencing. Anybody can walk in and walk out, and any animal, bug, insect, whether flying, crawling, or walking, can come into your plants. So what they did is they put little bit of hoop, and they covered it with a chicken wire or netting. So think of this as your backyard aquaponic system or hydroponic system. Do not let it expose to the elements. Just put these metal hoops and put that insect netting or shade cloth or whatever. Insect netting is better because it has a smaller hole. Will unlike shade cloth, with where a worm or a moth can go through it, and then it is isolated from the element and protected yourself. Do you have a problem with cats and rabbits in your neighborhood? Then you have to do some kind of fencing or bird netting or sound traps or whatever. Okay. Wash your hands before you go to your start working with aquaponic. If you want to be real fancy, put this your shoe washing station where you step on foam or sanitizing bleach to sanitize your feet. That you don't have to do this in the backyard, but definitely wash your hands anytime you want to start working, even on the garden. Wash your hands, sanitize your hands. Here is another more ideas of preventative measure. Here is the foot dip that I just showed you that you can step in. This way you step in it and then your shoes are clean. Don't your fish tank, whatever, have it closed so no bugs fall in and dies in it. No cockroach falls and dies in it. Everything covered. Here is fencing around so that no bugs can come in, or rabbits or whatever. Okay. This is a sealed greenhouse. This operation, Mr. Andy did the great jobs. There is a fan that's blowing a negative air pressure. So this room where you go in and you put your slippers in, but when you try to open that door, it is sucking air out. So nothing from the outside goes in. No air from the outside goes in. Actually, it is sucking air from the greenhouse out, so no bug or anything gets the chance to go from the outside air. Okay, what we call negative air pressure. Everything is clean. You don't see anything on the floor. You don't see any indication of waste or debris from insects or bugs or mammals or rabbits or bats or anything. Okay. If a pathogen, now we switch to the prevent the spread. If a pathogen does enter your facility, you need to reduce the spread as fast and as much as possible. Okay, so ideas. is you have to use disinfectant. You have to clean as fast as possible. Gloves, wash, clean, sanitize, and throw away those gloves. Okay, and again, many factors affect that. How fast that pathogen spreads, depending on the temperature. Like if it's cool, it's not gonna spread as fast. But if it's 80 degrees, it can all the system can be contaminated in a couple of days. Okay, so what can you do? Remove organic matter inside the tank. That's why the NFT systems are nice, like you see in this operation, even though this is aquaponic, but they're using NFT channels because you can pressure wash the inside, remove the lid, and pressure wash the inside and remove all the organic matter and algae. You can keep the area clean. You can have separate areas for eating. So this is only production, not for tours, not for smoking and drinking coffee, and have washrooms available. And then grow plants for seeds. Don't get transplant from somebody, because or from a nursery or from the greenhouse, somebody else's greenhouse, because you don't know if those seedlings are coming with a disease or pathogen and you brought them to your greenhouse. Okay, for quarantine for fish, if you have to buy fish, so again, have separate tank, not connected to your aquaponic system as a quarantine. If you can afford that, um, acclimate them, to watch them for a week, see if they're dying, they're swimming well or not. If they're happy, then you can move them to your system. Water is important in aquaponic and hydroponic. So if you are working with municipal water, you know that this is pathogen free. Well water is pathogen free, but natural stream or pond may have very high level of pathogens. Pathogen to the plant, pathogen to the fish, or pathogen to you, like E. coli. So that is definitely not recommended. Rainwater harvesting can be clean if your roof is clean, if your tank is clean, but again, I don't recommend that. So really stick to city water or well water, unless you have a way of boiling it or whatever, standardizing. Okay. Briefly, I'm not going to go into detail on how you do the chemistry and what you need to check and what type of variables you have to test. But more important to daily observation, like I told you in my previous presentation, walk around, see if everything is going. Are the fish swimming? Are they eating? Are they eating less? Is the pH normal? Is the water pump running? Is the air pump running? All that, okay? Uh, Observation, take notes. Hey, fish tank number one, they are not eating well. Okay, next day, measure the temperature, measure the pH. Those two are probably the biggest factor on how well the fish can eat, and then see what you need to do. Okay, if you don't have to measure the pH today, fine, come back tomorrow, see if they're eating well. Maybe they eat well. So who knows what happened day before, but now they're eating well. But day number two, they're also not eating well. Time to take action. Okay. Briefly, I want to tell you about some of the research we are doing with super hydrophobic material to reduce the potential of infection. And these super hydrophobic material, let's watch this video here. Uh, we sprayed that super hydrophobic material on this clipboard, and when it's dripped water, look, it's bouncing off here. It's not sticking, whereas it's sticking here to the area that it would not spray that. So you can imagine the linen, the liner, the knife that you are using for harvest, the scissors that you're using for harvest. Here's the knife, same thing. Let's look at this video with the knife, also treated with that material. Look, it's bouncing. If it's super hydrophobic, that the water is not attaching, then the bacteria that's on the water is not gonna attach. uh, uh, Beneficial or algae is not gonna attach, and reduce the risk of introduction of that. Remember, prevention is 90% of the battle. Okay, overall summary. Some research found that if you are using peat moss or media in your seedling, can be a possible source of contamination in the hydroponic portion of your system. Okay, and this finding is important as most harvested lettuce coming from hydroponic or from an aquaponic are packaged and sold with the substrate and the root ball intact. So it is up to you when you buy plants that with the root ball still attached, and even if it's hydroponic, even if it does not have the root ball attached, please rinse it, wash it, and don't assume that it's clean. Okay? That because that root ball, that because it's a potential contamination, this implies that high risk of microbial transfer from the root ball to the edible portion of the harvested lettuce leaves. With that, this presentation ends.